Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian Barrera again, CEO of LC Innovation, industrial organizational psychologist. I just want to share this framework that I created with you guys, but I want to give you a little bit of depth, a little bit of understanding before we jump into this. One of the main reasons why I created this was because, in my experience, as I mentioned in the last video, the introduction and the resume, um, I've worked with a lot of teams, I've hired a lot of people, I've been into a lot of interviews, and there's no way for you to be 100% accurate on any person that you hire or any team that you build. There's no way to be 100% accurate. It's not possible. Even for medical devices, even for drugs, pharmaceuticals, anything, they give you like a 3% to 5% window of failure, because nothing's perfect, right? Nothing's perfect. And knowing that, and understanding that, that means that what we're really trying to do is we're trying to mitigate risk. And one thing I didn't say in the resumes and introduction was that I wrote an Amazon best-selling book called Your Ego: The Real Reason Your Business is Failing. But I wrote that book because it was just my notes, just notes about what I've seen in the field, the models I've seen in the field that have worked based on my experiences. And that was just, like I said, on real world things that I've seen with my own business, with my clients that I've consulted, and some of the past companies that I've worked with. But the main reason why I created this framework, and the reason why I'm showing you this first before I show you that model, is because in that book, Your Ego, it's based off a model that I created called the PACT model: pivot, adapt, create, transcend. And if you do all that, then you either prevent or avoid disruption, or you actually disrupt an industry. Um, Avoiding disruption is just as important as creating disruption. Sometimes it's more important, right? Sometimes it's best to be the second business into a new industry, or the third. Sometimes being the first is the hardest, and sometimes um, the first person to enter a new market or a new industry is the first one to fail, right? So in that model, transcend is really the point of where you start hiring employees. You pivot, you make a quick pivot, low hanging fruit. That's the first stage. The second stage is adapt, something a little more critical than just a quick pivot, something that you really need to adapt to, an external force that you need to adapt to, something happening in the market, something happening in the industry, a world changing thing, an act of God, as they like to call in some documents. But yeah, those are the things that really make you adapt, right? A little more disciplined, a little more detail oriented, a lot more time consuming than just a quick pivot. Then there's create. If you can't pivot, if you can't adapt, and you're just sinking, you have to create something. And once you do all that, once you figure out what direction you want to go in, then you can hire your employees, which is transcend, or hire your business partners or your executives or a board, whatever the case may be. But the reason why I've shifted that, and the reason why I'm going straight into the 5-2 employee framework, because I know you guys don't listen. I mean, that's just the name of the game. And like I said in the intro, in the resume and introduction, I said, it's up to you to move forward. It's up to you to go forward and to actually make these things happen, right? I can show you all these models. I can give you some consultation. I can do whatever the case may need. But the real motive of all this is to get you to wake up and actually go out there and do this. I know that if I told you you should not be hiring any employees right now, if you have a bad business, you should definitely dissect your business, your industry, your clients, whatever the case. But if I tell you that, you're probably not going to follow it. You're going to have to learn it on your own. And I get that. But if you are going to do that, if you are going to do it on your own, if you do feel like you need a new manager, a general manager, an executive, a board, whatever the case, I keep saying that, whatever the case, but it is whatever the case. Um, if you're going to do that anyways, I might as well help you out with that. And I might as well give you the 5-2 employee framework. Now, a little bit of the backdrop, a little bit of background, the big five personality traits. Patrick Lencioni, his framework, Enneagram, DISC, leader member exchange. I've learned about so many of these different frameworks, personality traits and states, right? The state someone's in doesn't necessarily mean that that's their personality trait, and vice versa. A personality trait might go into the realm of the state of their being of that day, doesn't necessarily mean that's their personality. So many great things out there that have been created, but it's not my cup of tea. I've used them all, and some of them have worked, but I wanted to create my own because I have my own mind, I have my own beliefs, and I'm just infatuated with teamwork. I can't stop thinking of teamwork. My house, my family, my businesses, my customers that I consult. I just love team. I believe having a team is what really makes your business excel. Having the right team doesn't matter the quantity, matters the quality, right? So in this realm, I watch sports all the time. So I was at I think about 10 years ago, or maybe more, maybe 15 years ago when I first became an executive. No, I was almost 20 years ago. So I went to a Lakers versus Celtics game, and the Celtics won, and I was pretty pissed off about it, and I was getting upset because I'm a huge Lakers fan, Dodgers, um, Jacksonville Jaguars, but I won't tell you more of that. And but yeah, I'm a huge Lakers fan, and I was like, why am I getting mad about this team losing? Like they don't pay my bills. Why am I so upset about it? Why do I take this home with me, right? Like why do I get so mad? And why did I bet money? Why did I lose? So but ever since then I can't get rid of sports. I just keep watching. And I'm so enamored right now by the strategy and the culture that the Dodgers have built. And now the Dodgers owner, Mark Walter, owns the Lakers now. He's going to own them next year after the paperwork and everything goes through. But I can't wait to see what the Lakers do with this new ownership, right? Um, but why am I so obsessed with building great teams? Why do I want to do it so bad? And why do I keep watching sports? There's something more to me just watching sports. And it's because I've realized it now. It's that everything I try to do, I'm trying to create a championship team. And what really trips me out, not that I've dissected the Dodgers and all their strategies, and I will have an episode of, I will have a video that goes after each strategy that the Dodgers are building, which is incredible. But I keep wondering, like, why that? Why championship teams? And why am I so passionate about it? Why do I get upset about it? It's because as I like building championship teams, I've noticed that some of my clients don't care about that. They don't even know about that, right? Which really, really trips me out. But that's what it's all about. And what really, really gets me even further than that is we watch there, we sit there, we spend money, we buy beer, we buy food, we buy hot dogs, pizza, we buy all this stuff to watch games, to watch professional fights. We pay so much money to do this stuff and we don't learn from it. But it's right there, right in front of us. What they're doing is what we should be doing in our work. It's what we should be doing at our home is building the great team, knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses, accepting each other's strengths and weaknesses, as long as it doesn't hurt your home, as long as it doesn't hurt your business, as long as it doesn't hurt your future, right? Because we have to understand what the strengths or weaknesses are so that way we can know how to offset it, or in business hire someone to offset those because their strengths you really need. You need that person's strengths. Their weaknesses, yeah, it's terrible, it sucks, but you need their strengths. So can you hire the next person to offset their weaknesses? Or can you hire two people to offset your own weaknesses? If you're an owner and you're really good at selling and you're really good at the vision and talking to your clients or municipalities or whoever, well then, and you don't want to spend too much time on contracts, on memorandum of understandings, MOUs, on technical assessments, well then you should be hiring someone who can do that. Right now, you're a part of sales. You like talking to people. You like going to events. You like talking. You like going to the bar after the event where everyone's hanging out at, and you like doing napkin deals. I totally get that. That's needed. But what about a government contract? What about a grant? Grants that you don't owe money back to? What about the government contracts that give you stability for the next 5 years, right? That allow you to enter a whole nother realm of government contracting. Do you know the steps to get there? Because there might be 16 steps to get there. There might be an NIST test or an NIST cybersecurity test assessment that you have to go through in order to prove that you have the right software, that you're not going to get hacked, that you have the right software, the right cybersecurity to move to the next level of working with governments, right? There's so many things that you have to go after. If you're going after a grant, do you have the plan? Do you have the structure? If you get this grant money, is all the money going to be going to your organization? Because that's not healthy. Only a percentage of that grant should be going to your organization. But there's so many things out there that just saying your sales and talking to people and doing these deals and shaking hands, that doesn't encapsulate everything that is about sales, especially in today's day and age. So there's a lot more to go after. A lot more to go after than just that. You need people to offset your weaknesses, and that's what this does. So I kept watching. I was watching Otani and Mookie Betts and all these great players and championship teams and baseball, basketball, football, whatever. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. If you're reading my book, Pact, the Pact Model, the Your Ego, the Real Reason Your Business is Failing, which is on Amazon. If you read that, you're going to know how I dissect so much. But this is the five tool employee framework, right? This is the five tool employee framework. um, there's power, there's speed, there's fielding, there's hitting for average, there's arm strength. Yes, I don't want to lose you. Yes, that is baseball. That is baseball terminology. But I made it into business, right? Because I was watching baseball, and I think that baseball has the best analytics tools. If you've seen the movie Moneyball, you'll see what I'm talking about with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. Great movie. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Chris Pratt's in there. One of the greatest movies ever. But if you watch that movie and if you read the book, you'll see that people from Harvard, MIT, and all these different schools in analytics and statistics go into baseball because baseball is all about statistics. A lot of not all about, a lot of it is. So if you see this framework, you see power, speed, fielding, hitting for average. Okay, I don't know baseball. I don't care about baseball. What does that mean to me in business and hiring people? Well, it's the natural gift. Power is drive and ambition. It's hitting for home runs. It's swinging for the fences. It's going after that big hit, that big grand slam, that home run. It's drive. It's ambition. Peak performance, right? Of these people, their owns outcomes, decisive, and the toxic side of it, this functional side of it is bulldozes, right? They bulldoze a situation. They bulldoze the relationship of their clients, and they also avoid scrutiny. They don't like to be told what to do. They don't like being watched under a magnifying glass, but they avoid scrutiny, right? And their speed. Now you can think speed, how fast you are, right? How does that go to business? It's mental tempo. Mental tempo is huge. It's how fast can you adapt? How fast can you pivot? How fast can you reflect? And the reflective adaptation, how fast can you reflect what you're seeing and just boom, move forward. But sometimes the toxic side of that is very impulsive. Showbiz reflex, right? We'll go into more what that means. I want to dissect showbiz reflex a little bit more, but it's being impulsive, it's being kind of showy, stuff like that. And then there's fielding. To me, fielding is defense, right? Foresight, system sense. That's a natural gift in business. Foresight and system sense. Remember what I was saying earlier about if you're really good at sales, you need someone who can do that contract, that sales agreement, the purchase order, the scheduling template, whatever the case may be. Your customer retention management system, right? You love going after leads, but how do you get those leads? How can you keep that pipeline going? Who's writing that down? That's the system. The systems also is a quality system if you're in quality. If you're in manufacturing, a quality system, an engineering system. How do you get that validation moving? How do you validate the product? How do you know if you need automation instead of just people? Because you can't hire people in a warehouse right now in 150-degree weather because who wants to do something like that? Right? But I worked in manufacturing. I know how hard it was to hire people to work in a hot climate, in a hot warehouse without air conditioning. It's inhumane, but it's still needed in several organizations, factories out there. And I know that a lot of people, I've seen it with myself, are starting to add air conditioning, starting to add big fans and stuff like that. But it's still out there. It's still happening out there. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because the systems part of that, right, is if you're in that type of scenario, if you're in a warehouse, if you're not hiring the right amount of people, or if you can't find people, how can you automate that? How can you automate that process, right? How can you put that system in place? How can you put a maintenance plan in place? A maintenance plan, that before the parts go out, before the machines need maintenance and it kills your downtime or adds to your downtime, how can you truly get someone or get a system in place that can run itself pretty much, completely automated, completely turnkey? How can you do that? So the peak performance prevents failure, stabilizes. I already went over that. The quality checkpoints. A lot of people think that quality is about inspection and adding inspection. It is. But it's also communicating with your engineering team. Hey, we're adding way too much inspection to this. I need more people. But what I'm noticing is it's not the inspection. The parts are bad no matter what. So how can we get the engineering team to focus on improving this situation so that way we don't have to add more inspection? Now, remember, if in that situation, if someone tells you, oh, just add another inspector, that's not the way to look at it. What is the problem? What's the root cause? We'll go after that some other time. And the bad side about this is rigidity and also risk adverse stalls. right? Risk averse stalls. We'll go into that later. But remember that. Hitting for average, one of my favorites, but it also has its bad side, right? So hitting for average is consistency and discipline, right? So you have the power, you have the drive and the ambition, the home run hitter, the person that swings for the fences, that strikes out a lot too, by the way. But then you have the hitting for average, the consistency, the discipline, the backbone, not the muscle, the backbone, right? Of that organization, of that team. And I just said it right there. Peak performance, reliable backbone. Toxic dysfunctional use, autopilot, resist change. A lot of these people, a lot of these employees that love hitting for average are consistent and they're very disciplined. They don't